Once again, he's live at Treorchy. Please welcome on stage the legend that is Max Boyce.
Wedi brifo a Dafydd y gwas ddim yn iach. Baban yn y cryd yn crio a'r gath wedi sgropo Johnny bach. Sosban bach yn berwi ar y ton, sosban fawr yn berwi ar y ton. Ar y gath wedi sgropo magic welcome! Do you know, so much has changed since I was in Treorchy last. These houses weren't here for the start. But you know, I can remember as if it was yesterday, the first time I ever came to Treorchy. The first time I came to Rhondda, it was to open an old people's home. And I said, they won't know me in the Rhondda. They said, they will, they will. And I went in, and this old lady came out in a Zimmer. I said, excuse me, back. I said, you know who I am? No, she said, if you ask the matron, she'll tell you. And when you get older, the first thing that goes is your memory. And my pal Ron next to me said, I'm the same, Max. He said, do you know I've gone? He said, I can't remember anything. I can't remember when my car keys are with my phone. He said, I can't remember where I went on holidays last year. Ron back. No, he said, I can't remember. He said, what's the name of that leafy stuff that grows around the chimneys of old manor houses? I said, ivy. That's what he said. Ivy, where did we go on holidays last year? And talking about last year, hasn't the year gone like that? It's gone like that. And you know, time, when you get older, time is the most precious thing known to us. Time goes like that. Do you know, you good folk of Treorchy? Do you know it's nearly 8 years have passed since the English rugby team won the World Cup in Australia? I was really pleased for them. I am not one of these narrow-minded, one-eyed Westphalians. I was pleased for them. I was really pleased for them. Do you remember the homecoming? Who can forget the homecoming? Those two open-top buses down the Strand, going down Oxford Street, going down Ranger Street. Sir Clive Woodard holding the holy grail of rugby above his head. 500,000 people, 500,000 people there to welcome the returning heroes. Bank managers, solicitors and lawyers were leaving their offices, leaving their laptops behind, coming out in their red braces, their faces daubed with the red and white cross of St. George, singing Jerusalem and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. When I saw that, I thought to myself, how childish. If Wales won the World Cup, we wouldn't do anything like that. 2 open-top buses. We'd have 200 open-top buses. On those buses that weren't open, we'd have welders working 3 shifts to burn the top of any bus that wasn't open. But can you imagine? Can you imagine if Wales won the World Cup? And can you imagine if James Hook dropped a goal in the dying seconds to win it for Wales? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They'd make a 60-foot grog of him. His mother's home help would get the OBE. And the osprey would become a protected species. But can you imagine if Wales won the World Cup? There'd be a free 365-page colour supplement in the Western Mail. Children would have a year off school. And the Pope would visit Combe Park. But can you imagine if Shea Williams scored a try in the dying sex and win for Wales? He'd be met off the plane at Heathrow and driven home down the M4 on the back of a golf buggy. With J.P.R. Williams riding shotgun. But I don't think we'll ever win the World Cup. We never play well. The last time out in France, we lost to Fiji. And England nearly won it again. They played really well. They nearly won it again. And they came home on a special plane, a special Boeing 747 called Sweet Chariot. Wales came back on a plane called Nevermind. And it all started to unravel when we decided to have a friendly against England at Twickenham as a warm-up. How can you have a friendly against England? And we lost 62-5. And it's not the losing to England I hate. What I hate is the time still left in a game in which you know you're going to lose to England. You sat there, there's nothing you can do about it, and that time is endless. Play is going on, but time isn't passing. I just want to leave the ground and join some silent order. And sell perfume on Caldy Island. And never be seen or spoken of ever again, but you can't, you're going to stay there. And over the time now came this announcement. Attention, please. Attention, please. Would Mr. L.A. Morgan of 23 Tira Terrace, Astrevesta, go immediately to ground entrance 2, where his father suffered a severe cardiac arrest. And this broken friend got a ashen face and started to walk out. And the bloke next to me said to me, "There are some people get all the luck, don't they?" And to think of the day, I nearly didn't go. I didn't have a ticket, but lucky, last minute, my uncle died. The trouble was, the funeral was arranged the same time as the game. I couldn't go to both. I didn't have a ticket for the funeral. So I went to the match. So I thought, the least I could do now, when I come back, I'd ask how the funeral went. So when we come back on the Thursday, I said, "Should Arthur have gone without it?" "Oh, Max," he said, "Pashara, don't talk," he said. I haven't been able to sleep since," he said. "Nobody has." What happened?" He said. "What happened? They put Billy Williams in charge of the funeral arrangements." He said, he haven't done anything like that before. He said, he's only on a YTS scheme. I said, what happened? He said, "What happened? Well, you're supposed to at least show compassion." He said, this poor man had come to pay his last respects. He wasn't fit to be out. He hadn't been out for months probably, but he came, he came to pay his last respects. His skin was like parchment paper. His eyes were sunk in his head, his coat just hung at him, and he stood over the open grave in this biting northeasterly wind. And Billy said, "Hey, but," he said, "how old are you?" I'm 107. I'm And Billy said, it's hardly with you going home, is it? He said. And worse, what's the follow? I said, what do you mean worse? You know, he said, your uncle was cremated. I said, aye. He said, I can't believe he did it. He said, they were taking the ashes in the hearse, he said. They were taking the ashes in the hearse slowly up the Pentilla mountain, up to the Aldi chapel at the top of the mountain. They were taking the ashes slowly up in the hearse, he said. And if you remember that weekend, there was lots of black ice on the road, and the back wheels of the hearse were skidding. And Billy Williams, he used the ashes. I said, where is he now? He says, he's on a roundabout in Abergavenny. On the album, I recorded some songs, one is about going to Scotland, the Scottish trip, and we also sang, I've also written about going to Twickenham and to France. But a trip in recent times has been so popular, the trip to Rome to play Italy. And gosh, I was there, 2 years ago, and I went to Pompeii, you know, to visit the little village of Pompeii where all the, you know, destroyed by the earthquake and the volcano in 79 AD. And I was walking around, and I met up these two boys from Blaenefostiniog in North Wales, Dylan and Cyril. And we were chatting in Welsh, right? And you know Blaenefostiniog is a little village tucked away at the foot of the old Dinoric, the now disused Dinoric slate quarries in North Wales. And we just chatting, and we just chatted in Welsh. And this American tourist came over with a guidebook, and he said, oh, where you guys from? That's a neat accent. Where you guys from? And Dylan said, Blaenefostiniog there. And the American said, what state is that? And he said, same state as Pompeii there. Anyway, this is... No, it's a lovely village. Some of my best friends are there. This is a little song. You wouldn't know this song because it's not on the Live at Treorchy album because I only wrote it last year. Anyway, it's got a little chorus, right? And and the words are, and it's about the Italy trip, and we'll all come to hear the story, singing Carolan and Llawn Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Okay? We'll try to get it right. Okay. Yes, we'll all come to hear the story, singing. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Okay, you got it. This is the trip to Rome. Well, Rome still looks the same. Well, Rome still looks the same as I step down from the plane, and there to meet me was the Pope, the Holy Papa. And he told the boys he was glad to see them. He took them on a tour of the Colosseum. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Yes, we'll all come to hear the story, singing. And Llawn oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. When we reached St. Peter's Square, there were thousands gathered there, and we waited for the Holy Father's blessing. And he prayed there for the simple reason they hadn't won a game all season. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Yes, we'll all come to hear the story, singing Calon La and Town Dione. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. And I bought some souvenirs, some coins and Roman spears, and a paint by number Sistine Chapel ceiling. And I bought myself cold Italian beers and a bottle of the Virgin Mary's tears. It's good to see the glory that was Rome. Yes, we'll all come to hear the story, singing Calon. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Near Flaminio's little ground, an Irish bar we found, and I worried with the bar bill slowly mounting, till I saw the boys, they're slowly counting all the coins they'd nicked from the Trevi fountain. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Yes, we'll all come to hear the story, singing. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Our flight back's home delayed. The Pope was so dismayed. He was on our flight and he looked so disappointed. He said we could be here till Monday and they want me on Scrum 5 on Sunday. Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. And we'll all come to hear the story, singing Oh, it's good to see the glory that was Rome. Sang that well. Can I introduce you now to a great writer and a great musician and a great friend and a great poet. He wrote the amazing, successful High Hopes and Satellite City. So please give a big, big warm welcome to Boyd Clark.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I've known Max for some time, and I've admired his work for even longer than that, and it's quite a privilege to be asked to read some of his poetic lyrics here this evening. The first one I'm going to read was a song from his seminal album Live at Treorchy. 9-3. 'Twas on a dark and dismal day, in a week that had seen rain, when all roads led to Straddy Park, with the All Blacks here again. They poured down from the valleys, they came from far and wide. There were 20,000 in the ground, and me and Di outside. The shops were closed like Sunday, and the streets were silent still, and those who chose to stay away were either dead or ill. But those who went to Straddy Park would remember till they die how New Zealand were defeated and how the pubs ran dry. Aye, the beer flowed at Straddy, piped down from Vellinvole. and the hands that held the glasses high were strong from steel and coal. The air was filled with singing, and I heard a grown man cry. Not because we won, but because the pubs ran dry. Then dawned the morning after on empty factories, for we were still at Straddy, bloodshot absentees. But we all had doctor's papers, and they all said just the same, that we all had scarlet fever, and we caught it at the game. Now all the little babies in Llanelli from now on will be christened Roy or Carwyn, Derek, Delny, Phil or John. And in 100 years again, they'll sing a song for me when the scoreboard read, Llanelli 9, Stella Newydd 3. And when I am old and my hair turns grey and they put me in a chair, I'll tell my great-grandchildren that their Tad Key was there. And they'll ask to hear the story of that damp October day when I went down to Straddy to see the Scarlets play. Thank you.
Talking about World Cups, you know. God, the World Cup I enjoyed. 95 in South Africa at Ellis Park. God, when South Africa and New Zealand in the final. And for me, a humble valley boy like yourself, to meet President Mandela, the greatest man I've ever met, right? And God, for me to meet, the privilege of meeting that man, right? And seeing him at the end of the game, to see him at the end of the game holding the World Cup above his head, and all the rainbow-coloured people, all of them singing, Koze shekelele Afrika, Koze shekelele Afrika. I bloody cried, boys. I got so emotional. I cried like a rain because I'd back New Zealand at 11-2. But it was a triumph. Those who went, it is a triumph. They wanted it to work. The rainbow-coloured people wanted it to work for their president. It was such a triumph for them. For Wales, it was a disaster. If you remember, we lost to Ireland in the first round. And people were asking me, was it disappointing we lost to Ireland? I said, I didn't mind losing to Ireland. I said, at least I knew where it was. 20 years ago, we were losing to places and people I'd never heard of. We lost one game to a passer-by. And she hadn't been playing rugby very long. And before we went, right, we had all these inoculations for cholera and typhoid and yellow fever. And we said, we'll follow the side for as long as we're in the competition. We went out on the Monday, we were back on the Friday. I still had 3 boxes of malaria tablets. And they tell you, once you start the course, you've got to finish it. It was so embarrassing. I was in the Brecon Beacons in a howling blizzard, up during snow, taking malaria tablets. And the World Cup before that, we lost to Western Samoa. Nobody knew where that was. And we lost them in Cardiff. And we beat them in Western Samoa on this sun-baked ground fringed by palm trees. I remember, I rang home, my mother answered the phone, hello, Bashiriti. Okay, ma'am, where are you? I said, I'm in Western Samoa, ma'am. She said, what's it like there? I said, ma'am, it's 130 in the shade. Oh, she said, stay out of the shade, whatever you do, she said. And now I want to introduce you to a hugely talented young lad, and such a lovely boy as well. You've probably seen him on Britain's Got Talent, and even sang at Michael Jackson's funeral. A big, warm welcome to Shaheen Jaffagoli.
Beside the sea, red roses growing. Beside the sea, white lilies showing. Beside the sea, her beauty telling. My true love sleeps within her dwelling. Beside the sea, the stones lie scattered, where tender words of love were uttered, while all around there grew the lily and sweet branches of rosemary. Our Leonard Maud, my Rasis Kayan. Our Leonard Maud, my lilies Guanyan. Our Leonard Maud, my Nariadine. And Kaskinos, ah, did bore. Beside the sea, blue pebbles lying. Beside the sea, gold flowers glowing. Beside the sea, all things are fairest. Beside the sea, I found my dearest. Beside the sea, I found my dearest.
You know, it's magic being here on like St. David's Day, because normally I'm not in Wales. I'm all over the world. And last year I was in France speaking to the Paris Welsh Society, and I was in this lovely restaurant, lovely French restaurant called La Maison Bleue, beautiful restaurant, and all these, you know, one of the great capitals, one of the great culinary capitals of the world, and there was all, you know, all this wonderful food, but there in the middle, Welsh water. I when I'm away, I get very emotional. Welsh water, and I look, and I morning me, look, agua, pay de gal. And on the label it said, it was Sunanant, the word. It was called Sunanant, Sound of the Brook. And I read on the label, it said, this water first fell as soft rain in the low reaches of the Brecon Beacons and the Black Mountains. And for 500 billion years, it filtered down through layers of millstone, grit and sandstone to be at your table today. And then underneath it said, best before February the 4th. 500 billion years have been filtering down, and I got there 3 days too late. Dinosaurs had drink out of it, and I couldn't have any. They'd gone off. But can you imagine what the Rhondda must have been like 500 billion years ago? Woolly mammoths roaming the mountains. People from Treorchy were hunting them for their wool to take to polycoffs to make suits for them. People people from Ferndale were coming down out of the trees and learning to walk upright. And Treorchy were unbeaten. And now I'd like to introduce you to one of Wales's finest young singers. She's a lovely girl with a wonderful voice. Please welcome Treorchy.
Well, as Max has been telling us since 1973, here in Wales we do love singing Land of My Fathers and hymns and arias, but tonight, Ar Hyd y Nos.
Ar hyd y nos
I look back at my childhood, you know, and I look back at the times in school. Like on St. David's Day, we used to have the school at Steddfod, and God, I look back at those times in school, and where did the innocence go? Where is the boy I once was? Why did he run away? God, remember. I want to take you back to childhood now. Let's close our eyes. Let's go back. Come on, close. Everybody, close your eyes. Nobody will see you. Right? Let's go back to childhood. Do you remember your first day in school? I can remember it yesterday. I didn't know I was going. If I knew where I was going, I wouldn't have gone. It was the first time my mother ever left me. We got down past the school railings. She opened the school doors. In I went, and there was my face up against the railings. Mum, where you going? Mum, how long will I have to be in school for? What? Till I'm 15. You wouldn't forget to come and fetch me, will you, Mum? But mothers, they cared, didn't they? Do you remember? I was always losing my gloves. I was always losing my mittens. Do you remember what mothers used with their difficult? Remember what mothers used to do? They used to put elastic up your arm, round the back and down, and your gloves used to dangle on the end. But we were so poor, my mother couldn't afford enough elastic. That's why I never got in the school rugby team. My elastic wasn't long enough. And my mother was always... we were poor. We didn't have, children, they have little name tags on their back with their names on to stop them losing their coats. We didn't have enough... We didn't have enough money for name tags. I used to tell people my name was Saint Michael. And the bullies were always picking me, and I was always fighting, and I was always getting in trouble in school, right? People used to think my mother was a ventriloquist. She'd be, get in here now. I'm not telling you again. Get in here now! But the thing I hated in school was the exams. I was hopeless in exams. Do you remember you sat at the school hall? Do you remember you sat in the exam room? And the clock... And you sat there with all crib notes written in the back of your hand. And you were sweating so much all the ink could run. Then after about 10 minutes, the swats would start. Do you remember the swats? Sir, can I have some more paper, sir? I hadn't written my name then. And the dreading moment came when you checked the answers. You'd be outside the hall afterwards, you'd written the answers down the side of your exam paper to check with your friends. Hey, Di, what do you get for number 2? 1.78 centimetres. What do you get, Ari? 1.78 centimetres. What do you get, Phil? 1.78 centimetres. What do you get, Max? I'm not saying. I think mine's out a bit. And the question was to find the diameter of this copper tube. They say, what do you get the answer? I said, I'm not saying, I don't have to say. Mine's different. They say, well, perhaps you were right or we are wrong. I said, I don't think so. He said, what do you get the diameter of the tube? I said, 17.5 miles. Do you remember that? You used to do the easiest question first, and you ended up with a stupid answer. But weren't they stupid questions? This guy said, where's Adrian's wall? I put down behind Adrian's house. And I did it wrong. And he's my cousin, I know him. And my friend in school was Billy Williams, right? He's a terrible, terrible boy. Some of the things he's done, right, Billy, right? Terrible thing. He had a dog. What did he call his dog? Stay. He nearly killed the poor dog. So he goes, stay, come here, boy, stay, come here, boy, stay, come here, boy. The dog goes. And we were in the Boy Scouts together. He used to make me run after all the little girl guys in the short blue skirts and sting them all with stinging nettles. And he had all the dock leaves. They didn't understand that in Cardiff. They never heard of dock leaves in Cardiff. See, money isn't everything, is it? How we used to go to Porthcawl on the holidays. Do you remember we used to go to Porthcawl? All the mining villages, they emptied down to the holidaying sea, Porthcawl. Do you remember? Miners' fortnight to Porthcawl. And we had a caravan. Our caravan was called the Water's Edge. It was in Cowbridge, it was, right? So then we went and had bed and breakfast. And we got fed up, we had bed and breakfast. And do you remember, like today, bed and breakfast today, right? They're en suite. They're just like 5-star hotels, but in those days, the toilet was at the bottom of the garden. Do you remember those at T-Bach, the little place at the bottom of the garden? You'd always be afraid that someone would come in while you're in there. So you used to put your foot against the door. And there's no point because the door opened outwards. And I remember going swimming. God, I remember going swimming in Resby. And do you remember the old knitted woolen costumes? They were all right till I went in the sea. But when you came out to the sea, your swimming costume was coming 60 foot behind you. You go up the beach like a Grimsby trawler, dragging this enormous weight full of shells and seaweed and pebbles. And the Salvation Army band were playing Nearer My God to Thee. Would you please welcome back Boyd Clark?
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Of all the mines, foundries and factories that have been closed down in Wales this last 30 years, this next poem recalls probably our saddest loss. The Outside Half Factory. I'll tell you all a story, 'tis a strange and weird tale, of a factory in my valley, not fed by road or rail. It's built beneath the mountain, beneath the coal and clay. It's where we make the outside halves that'll play for Wales one day. We've camouflaged the mouth with stones from Bradford Northern spies, from plastic E-type Englishmen with promise in their eyes. And we've boarded up the entrance, for the way must not be shown, and we will tell them all to bugger off and go and make their own. My dad works down in arms and legs with productions running high. It's he that checks the wooden moulds and stacks them 40 high. But he's had some rejects lately, because there's such a big demand. So he sells them to the northern clubs and stamps them second-hand. It's where Harry Dampers works. It's where the money's best. But now his health is failing, and the dust lies on his chest. But he'll get his compensation, though his health's gone off the rails, when he sees that finished product score the winning try for Wales. Old Harry Dampers. But now the belts are empty. Came a sadness with the dawn, and the body press is idle, and the valley's blinds are drawn. Disaster struck this morning when a fitter's mate named Ron cracked the mould of solid gold that once made Barry John. Old Harry Dampers, struck with grief, received the final call, and old Harry has been taken to the greatest outside half of all, whose hands are kind and gentle, though they bear the mark of nails. So Harry stamped him number 10, 'cause he was made in Wales. And the wheels will go on turning, and trams will run on rails to that factory neath the mountain, making outside halves for Wales.
This next song, I wrote, and probably it was part of the success of the album Live at Treorchy, and it tells of the story. It's of a time and a place, and it told of all the colliery closures that are happening at the time in South Wales. It's a song I haven't sung for 30 years, but it's a song very special to me, a song called Do It's Hard. In our little valley, they've closed the colliery down, and the pitted baths, it's a supermarket now. Empty journeys red with rest, roll to rest amongst the dust, and the pitted baths, it's a supermarket now. 'Cause it's hard, it's hard, and it's harder than they will ever know. And yes, they must take the blame, the price of coal's the same. The pitted baths, it's a supermarket now. They came down here from London because our output's low. Briefcases full of bank clerks that have never been below. And they'll close the valley's oldest mine, pretending that they're sad. But don't you worry, Betty Bach, we're really very glad, 'cause it's hard, it's hard, and it's harder than they will ever know. And as they must take the blame, the price of coal's the same. The pitted baths, it's a supermarket now. My clean clothes locker's empty now, thrown away the key. I've sold my boots and muffler, and my lamp check 153. But I can't forget the times we had, the laughing midst the fear. 'Cause every time I cough I get a mining souvenir. 'Cause it's hard, it's hard, and it's harder than they will ever know. And as they must take the blame, the price of coal's the same. The pitted baths, it's the supermarket But I know the local magistrate, she's got a job for me. Though it's only counting buttons in the local factory. We get coffee breaks and coffee breaks, coffee breaks and tea. And now I know those dusty minds seen the last of me, 'cause it's hard, oh, it's hard. And it's harder than they will ever know. And as they must take the blame, the price of coal's the same. The pitted bars, it's a supermarket. Yes, the pitted bars, it's a supermarket now. Paid our weekly shilling for that January trip. A long weekend in London, I without a bit of kip. There's a seat reserved for beer by the boys from Abercarn. There's beer, pontoon, crisps and fags, and a croaking Calon lad. And we were got to Twickers early and we jostled in the crowd. Planted leaks and dragons looked for toilets all around. So many there we couldn't budge, twisted legs and pale. I'm ashamed we used the bottle that once held bitter ale. But we Wales defeated England in a fast and open game. We sang Cwmr Honra and Delilah, damn they sounded both the same. We sympathise with an English friend whose team was doomed to fail. So we gave him that old bottle that once held bitter ale. He started So it's down to Soho for the night, to the girls with the shiny beads, to the funny men from Gilvach with evil minds and deeds. When said to Will from a doughy dark dam, she didn't have much on, but Will knew what she wanted, his photo of Barry John, 'cause she was singing. He thanks for coming back one more time. Rosta, good night and God bless.
Premier League highlights on Match of the Day later. We catch up with the action from 7 games at 11:15 here on BBC One Wales.